Please note that this is a sponsored event and any opinions expressed are those of the presenters and do not necessarily reflect the views of ASCE. ASCE also asks that presenters and participants refrain from discussions surrounding competitors and pricings of products and services. And now, without further delay, welcome to AI Assisted Plan Checking, how engineers are using AI to improve quality, speed, and consistency, sponsored by InspectMind AI. We are thrilled to have InspectMind AI with us today. This is their first sponsor webinar with ASCE, and we hope to have many more in the future with them. For those of you who are new to our sponsor, InspectMind AI is an AI-powered plan review and QA/QC platform built specifically for structural engineers and AEC teams. It automatically checks drawings against codes, design standards, and internal best practices in minutes instead of hours. Their AI plan checker helps firms reduce coordination errors, catch inconsistencies before submittal, and improve overall drawing quality, all while augmenting rather than replacing engineering judgment. For the ASC community, InspectMind represents a practical application of AI, improving reliability and elevating the standard of care across every project. Now I'd like to welcome our speaker, Akash Prasad, the co-founder and CEO of InspectMind AI. He studied electrical engineering and computer science at University of California, Berkeley, and has previously founded multiple architecture and engineering firms, as well as software and technology startups. Akash represents the third generation of his family to shape the built environment. With a grandfather in civil engineering and a father in structural engineering, he is now merging that deep-seated industry intuition with cutting-edge AI to lead InspectMind AI. And now over to you, Akash.
All right, welcome everybody. Nice to have you here. Excited to see the level of interest in this topic. I heard it's one of the most popular ASCE webinars in recent time. So I'm going to present my screen here and get started. Okay, so just to give an overview, we're going to just go through a few slides just to share, what we do and how this is used in the industry. Then we're going to get to the interesting part, which is example of issues that AI has found on different projects. So we want to do more showing than telling. So I'll kind of get through the slides quickly, and then we'll go through 9 concrete examples of AI finding issues and explaining the issues and showing the evidence. And then the entire second half of the 1 hour, we're actually going to leave for Q&A. My co-founder, CTO, Shangling, is going to join that second half as well. And it'll be a more interactive session where we will go through the Q&A. Okay, so basically, the topic of this webinar is AI plan checking for engineers. This works across multiple disciplines. It works across actually all disciplines: architectural engineering, structural, civil, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, geotechnical, and more. So it can actually be used to check an entire permit set, or it can be used to check just your engineering discipline. So there's multiple ways to leverage this tool. And ultimately, the goal is to help reduce plan check comments, reduce rework, reduce construction issues, RFIs, delays, change orders for the owners. Everybody on this call, has seen examples of, little details and drawings turning into pages and pages of city comments, hundreds of RFIs during construction, rework, change orders, etc. So our goal is, how can AI help catch these issues early before, they turn into much bigger issues and claims and liability. So let's go to the next slide here. So we'll walk through the challenge, which is, what is the cost of rework? When you have these discrepancies in drawings, it says one thing here, another thing there. Architectural and engineering don't line up. Code, it doesn't meet code somewhere. This has a significant cost in terms of nobody wants, 50 pages of city comments coming back once you do the submission. You don't want 300 RFIs from the GC, or get sued later because, the drawings and specs said different things, for example. And then there's our solution. So that's the problem. And then there's our solution, which is this AI that serves as an extra pair of eyes. So you're still doing your engineering, you're checking your own work, but think of InspectMind AI as an extra pair of eyes on the project, catching all these things that, architects, engineers, plan checkers, and GCs may have missed because, page 1200 of this document says this thing and page 58 of this document says this other thing. And it's just impossible to catch all those issues. And then we'll show some real examples, actual anonymized case studies and sample issues found. And we'll have the entire second half for Q&A live with both myself and my co-founder here, the two co-founders of the company. So we'll be personally answering all the live Q&A. So this part, I think it's self-explanatory. Assuming everybody here is a practicing engineer, manual review takes a lot of time, especially when you think about bigger commercial jobs, infrastructure. You have hundreds or thousands of pages of drawings, likely thousands of pages of specifications. There's just so many opportunities for inconsistencies and discrepancies that then manifest themselves in plan check. When you're submit to the city, it eats into your project profit margin, right? If you're having to spend days, weeks, doing rework and addressing city comments that you're not getting paid extra for, or RFIs from the GC during construction, depending on how you bill. So it can eat into your margin, it can eat into customer satisfaction. And our goal is to help with all of that with this extra pair of eyes. So we'll actually do a quick poll right now. So the question is, we want to know, how do you do QA/QC right now? You can answer this in the Zoom poll. How do you QA your own work right now?
All right, they are quickly trying to get their answers in. There are so many people on this webinar, though. Let's give them a few more seconds to get this completed. We've got about 400 people who have answered it so far. All right, we're going to give you a few more seconds and then we're going to end the poll and share the results, and then Akash can talk to them. Let's see, here we go.
Cool. Okay, primarily manual internal reviews. This is very common. Manual reviews with checklists and standards. This is really cool because one of the unique features of our platform is you can actually upload your own checklists and standards, and the AI will check against that. So it's kind of a way to customize it to your firm without having to do any extra work. You simply upload your QA checklists and guidelines, and then the AI is going to be able to check against that as well. So I'm really glad to hear 41% of you have internal checklists and standards to check against. So our tool is going to be very helpful there. Cool. This is pretty insightful. Thanks everyone for sharing your how you do your QA today. I see 10 people already using AI. I think that number is going to grow after this webinar. It's going to grow pretty fast, I think. Okay, let's go to the next slide here. So we have made the tool as simple as we can. That's been one of the values or principles of our product development is we believe in simple. And the reason is, as Robin shared earlier, I am third generation in this industry. My dad's a structural engineer. His dad was a civil. I know that a lot of the audience here is probably in my dad's age range. We don't want to be another complicated tool that you have to learn. We don't want to, have like a, university that you have to go to learn how to use the software. So we've tried to make it really easy. You just create an account on the website, you drag and drop your PDFs, your drawings, specifications, standards, checklists, etc. Just the way you drag and drop into Google, Dropbox, whichever cloud system that you use. The AI runs through it. Depending on the size of the project, it could be a few hours. It'll run through it in detail, and it'll catch, on average, several hundred issues per project. And then we give you a report of here's all the issues we found. And our goal is to simply flag all these issues and bring them to your attention. That is our goal. Ultimately, you are the engineer. we're simply surfacing issues to you and trying to bring them to your attention, and then you can review those issues. We provide the evidence behind the issues, and then you may decide what to do with those issues, which issues, you want to act on, which issues are not that important. But just a couple of recent examples. One firm in Florida used this on a recent project. Our AI found 250 issues on their project, and it sounds like a lot. They went and they fixed 100 of the issues. Why did they fix 100 out of 250? Well, first, if you've ever used AI, one of the key things to keep in mind is it's not always 100% accurate. It's good most of the time. So our promise isn't that every one of the 250 issues is going to be correct. Most of them are going to be correct, but we provide you with the evidence so you can verify it yourself. You can see what the drawing says, what the spec says, why the AI thinks this is wrong, and you can review it yourself. So this is really meant to be an assistant. It is not meant to replace your QA. The last thing we want is you not checking your own work because you're just having the AI check it. This is more of a supplement. You check your own work, and then here's an extra pair of eyes that brings a bunch of things to your attention that you might have missed. So that's the way to think about it. It's a useful tool, not a replacement for engineering judgment or quality control. But it's more like putting your quality control, on steroids, essentially. Um, so the kinds of things we catch, there's a number over those few hours that the AI runs. It's running a many different hundreds of different kinds of checks, and the kinds of checks, it's checking codes, it's checking coordination. Coordination issues are a big deal. We have talked to so many contractors, hearing their horror stories. Architectural plan said X, engineering was off by 1 inch. The project got stuck for a month, right? That's capital cost, interest cost, materials, labor, et cetera, for a month because two pieces of paper were off by an inch or two, right? We've talked to real estate developers where the spec said one thing, the drawing said another thing, and it was a $3 million change order, right? So our goal is to try to catch and reduce those kinds of issues that become really painful to the contractor or to the owner down the road and become liability for architects and engineers. So with this extra pair of eyes, hopefully, we'll reduce your risk and liability for those kinds of issues. Another kind of issue that we catch is constructability. Sometimes, a detail looks great on paper. It just is not practical to build, and AI is able to catch issues like that. And finally, missing information. So these are a few big picture, we also do like code index audits, drawing index audits. There's many different kinds of checks that are run, and that list is constantly growing. So we're constantly investing and improving the product every single day. But just at a high level, these are a few of the big picture kind of checks that we run. So I've got a great example of a recent customer in California. This was an architecture engineering firm, kind of one firm that does, the entire permit set essentially, architectural, civil, structural, MEP, landscape, etc. They ran a new 11,000 square foot building through our product. It was actually over the holidays. It was a day or two after Christmas, if I remember correctly. They just found our website, uploaded it, paid, and we found 350 issues on their project. They then went and fixed all of those issues before submitting it to the city. And when they submitted that project to the city, they got back 5 pages of city comments on the entire permit set, all disciplines. Any of you in California know that you get 5 pages of city comments on a bathroom remodel in California. So 5 pages of comments on an 11,000 square foot ground up commercial building, first submission permit set is pretty much unheard of. And the reason for that was the AI had already caught 90% of the issues before the plan checker. The biggest issue we found was the septic tank was 33% undersized. The drawings had a 2,000-gallon septic tank. They should have been 3,000 per the correct code calculations. And that was one of 350 issues found on the project before the city even reviewed it. So you get a much deeper review. You get the hundreds and even thousands of issues across all your project documents. It saves time in terms of, the revisions and rework and all of that, which eat into your hours and profit margin on the job, and you get fewer city comments and issues and RFIs during construction. Okay, we have our second and I believe last poll is where would AI benefit your AI plan checking benefit your firm the most? Basically, want to understand which of these is most valuable to you as a practicing engineer.
Okay, it looks like they are, oh, very quick on this one. We've got about 40% already completed. Give them a few more seconds so they can quickly get their answers in. And okay, they're still coming in rapidly. Let's give it, ooh, look at these. There's some great results are going to come up. All right, few more seconds. Everybody get your answers in, and here we go. In the poll, share the results.
Oh, this is cool. I was curious. I wanted to know kind of what the community values the most. So the most important thing is catching missing issues earlier. That makes a lot of sense. You know, this is reducing your risk, it's reducing your liability, it's reducing rework, delays, and then improving QA, QC consistency. This is a great point because we meet with firms, AEC firms every day, and one of the biggest pain points is the consistency. It's how do you, when you have a firm that's doing hundreds and thousands of jobs a year, like some of our customers are doing, how do you make sure every project gets reviewed? A lot of firms, they have a kind of a spot check policy. Maybe some percentage of projects go through a QA team, but not all jobs. And with this AI tool, you can actually ensure that, let's say you've got a senior team reviewing some percent of jobs, but you could still have AI review every single job. So that's really cool about consistency being very valuable. Saving engineer review time. This absolutely does. By surfacing all these issues and evidence, it does speed up the time of review. And then I also see that there's interest in just AI in general, of how AI can be helpful in your workflows. And like I shared earlier, reducing city comments. So thanks everyone for sharing your thoughts here. It's really valuable to us as we understand what is important to the community and to our customers. So just as a kind of a summary here, it's a quality tool. It's an extra pair of eyes is the way to think about it. AI is not replacing the engineers. It's not replacing plan reviewers. It's not replacing your quality control team or your senior reviewers or anybody like that. It's more of a way to give them a superpower as an extra pair of eyes, flag issues they might have missed, and then they still have to apply their judgment on here's, AI found 900 issues on this project. Now you still have to review those and see which ones you're going to act on, which ones you're going to prioritize, et cetera. One of the biggest powers of AI is the amount of data it can process really quickly, right? I mean, we have projects like data centers, universities, hospitals with thousands and thousands of pages of drawings and calculations and specifications and checklists and codes and all kinds of things. And so just the ability to be able to process that much information and those, large number of pages in hours makes this very scalable, right? Because now within hours you can QA a project. And if your firm's whether your firm's doing 10 projects a year or they're doing 10,000 jobs a year, this is a scalable way to QA them. And finally, this can become your superpower. And the reason this can become your superpower is if by leveraging AI in this way, you're able to ensure that the work that goes out of your office is higher quality, has fewer issues, gets through the city faster, and the contractors have fewer construction issues, and then they make more money because they're spending less time tearing out concrete and redoing things. You look good and you get more business and you get more repeat business and your customer satisfaction goes up and you burn less hours going back and doing revisions that maybe you can't charge the owner for because they were in mistakes in your drawings. And so this can become a kind of a competitive advantage in terms of improving the quality and consistency and accuracy of your work and also the efficiency of your review time. So it's really easy to see this for yourself. I'm going to show you a demo, but we've made it Like it takes 5 minutes to go to our website, create an account, drag and drop your project PDFs, and run a check. It takes 5 minutes, and then you come and then you get an email once the results are ready. So it's super, super easy to try and see for yourself. And finally, we have a limited time discount code for specifically for the audience here. If you sign up and you upload plans, at the payment page, you can put in ASCE 15 discount code. It's valid for 1 week. Today is March 3rd, so it's valid for 1 week from now, which is March 10th. And you get 15% off on your first plan check. Or even if you did multiple checks in the next week, you get 15% off on all of them. So you can use this code, just valid for the next week. It'll take you 5 minutes to try this, to create an account. You could log in with your Google account or create an email and password. Just drag and drop your project PDFs, click run check, and you'll get an email within a few hours with the results. And very quickly you can see how many issues AI found, accuracy, speed, quality, ease of use, everything. Okay, so that's on the slides. Now I want to get to the really interesting part, which is showing you the product. So this is our homepage. The value proposition is catch construction mistakes before they get built. So AI plan checker, drawing specs, codes, QA checklists before permit or the field, and every finding comes with evidence. You can book a call with us if you prefer. If you wanted to do like a demo call with your team, you could book a call on our homepage, or you could just click this big green button and upload your drawings and get started and run a check right now. Once you've created your account, it's really easy. When we designed this, we kept my 65-year-old structural engineer dad in mind. It's got to be that easy. You just drag and drop your PDFs here, just like, Google Drive, Dropbox, Box, whatever that you use. You just drag and drop your PDFs here and you run the AI. At the payment page, remember, you could use ASCE 15 as your discount code. Now to get into the real interesting part, what you've been all been waiting for. So after you've uploaded your PDFs and you've made your payment, you're going to get a list of all the issues. So this is an anonymized example for demo purposes. This was a 4-story multifamily project complete permit set that the customer uploaded, and we found 961 issues on this permit set. And this was a set that was already permitted by the city, right? So after all of that, there were still 961 issues across thousands and thousands of pages of drawings and calculations here. So once the AI runs at the top level, you get this, here's all the issues that we found prioritized. You have all these filters. For example, I just want to see the structural issues. I just want to see mechanical. I just want to see civil, et cetera. So you can filter. The AI also prioritizes them. Hey, I just want to see the critical issues or critical and high. You can also search. So we have these search and filter capabilities here. And one of the things in the works is also a chatbot. So once we have the chatbot, you could ask it a question, show me the most serious life safety issues. Show me the 10 issues that might have the greatest impact on construction cost. Show me the 10 issues that might have the biggest schedule impact, et cetera. So we're adding a chatbot capability here as well, because the AI is so good at finding issues. We don't want to create work for you having to go through 900 issues on this job. We want to make it easy for you to figure out, okay, what are the important ones to prioritize and act on and kind of get the biggest bang for your buck there. So that's something coming out very soon with the chatbot. So next, what you do is here's a really interesting part. We don't ask you to trust the AI at all. You can trust the AI 0% and still use this tool. You don't have to believe in AI. You don't have to like AI. You don't have to trust AI. And the reason is when you click into an issue, we give you all the explanations and evidence. And this is where, as the engineer, you can look at the issue. Again, this is just AI's flagging this and bringing it to your attention. And it's telling you why it thinks this is a problem. And then you have all the evidence. So the first issue was there's an insufficient fastener length in detail 2 of the structural drawing. Okay. So what we did was we took you exactly to that page, S5.22 on the floor framing sections and details, and we took you to detail 2. So let's read why AI thinks there is an issue here. So what it says is you have a 2-inch long Hilti fastener. Your wood plate is 1.5 inches thick, and your steel plate is 0.5 inches thick, which sums up to 2 inches. That means there is 0 inches left. Since the fastener is 2 inches, there's 0 inches left to actually penetrate into the steel beam because this is supposed to be a connection. This is a connection. So if you don't penetrate into the steel beam, you don't have a connection, right? So this is the issue that it found. It took you to that detail. It highlighted the thing that it thinks is wrong. It explained why this is an issue, right? The installer, the contractor, will be unable to achieve the required penetration into the steel beam. And so what the AI suggests is maybe you need a longer fastener. Maybe you need a 2.5 inch or a 3 inch fastener or a different connection method, right? And it also gives you the suggestion, right? And there's a really cool feature. This one is probably more used by the architects and contractors, however, than the engineers. There's a one-click export RFI. So the architect or contractor may see this issue. Let's say the architect or contractor use this tool. They can do a one-click RFI. They click one button, they get a PDF of this specific issue that they can now send to the engineer or to the architect or consultant or whoever should be responsible for this particular issue. So as engineers, you might start seeing RFIs being sent your way from architects and contractors who use this tool. They see this issue and they might say, one-click RFI and send this to the structural engineer of, hey, can you take a look at this detail in constructability? So next example. Here's a common mistake. Over here in this detail, the engineer probably meant to specify which Simpson hanger to use. And they probably just put in a placeholder XXXXX and meant to go back and update it later and just forgot to do that. And so, this is a guaranteed RFI. The contractor is going to run into this and they're going to be like, wait a minute, which hanger do we need to order? And they'll have to submit an RFI to the engineer. Now, AI already caught it before the drawings even make it to the contractor or to the city. And you can address this right now. Here's another example of contradictory information in the drawing. Uh, Having met with a lot of contractors, this is a very common issue. The drawings say one thing in 7 places, another thing in an 8th place. And when that happens, the contractors now, if they do the wrong thing, they have to go back and change it, then they might blame the drawings. They change order the owner, right? And so we want to reduce the exposure there in terms of inconsistent information in drawings. So the particular issue here is if you look at the hold down system notes, what they actually call for is a continuous rod tie down system. But when you look at the drawings detail, they actually call for uplift conventional strapping, a typical so conventional system, right? And so this is a discrepancy, right? Creates an opportunity for confusion, for the contractor going with the wrong system and then failing inspection, or the owner getting a change order, et cetera. So we're trying to catch these kinds of inconsistencies before they turn into liability. This next one's really cool because it shows the AI understanding a diagram. This is actually a mechanical issue. Basically, you have these 5 AC units, and you have a pipe that is 3/4 inches diameter. The issue here is 3/4 inches diameter is actually the minimum size for a single unit strain. But the AI saw this diagram and saw that, hey, there's 5 units, not one. And so you can't have 3/4 inches for 5 units when that's the minimum for 1 unit. And what the AI suggests is upsizing it to 1.25 inches or 1.5 inch diameter, given there's 5 AC units, not one. So this is more of a mechanical or plumbing issue, HVAC issue. But we are able to check across all the engineering and architecture disciplines. If you're a structural engineer, civil engineer, mechanical, architectural engineer, this can check all disciplines. I'm going to show you another example that's really cool because this shows the ability for the AI to understand designs. So this is a very small project. It's simply a backyard ADU. But what the AI caught was if you look at the number of doors and windows and the arrangement of doors and windows on the floor plan, they actually don't match the elevation. So if you look at the elevation, you've got this like central door and you've got these two symmetrical windows. The floor plan actually does not show that. The floor plan shows a different number of doors and windows. The reason I want to, this one wows a lot of people because it shows, it's going beyond just text. It's going beyond just reading your text. It's actually looking at doors. It's looking at windows. It's counting things. It's trying to visualize the design and understand, is this design consistent with this other, is a floor plan consistent with the elevation? And, this is a pretty embarrassing mistake to have on the drawing where the floor plans show one design, elevations show another. You don't want that in drawings going out of your firm's office, right? And we can help you catch issues like this. I know we have structural, mechanical, and architectural engineers. We also have civil engineers on this call. So before we wrap up the demo portion, I want to show you a few really cool civil engineering examples. So in this particular plan, let's go to sanitary structure 933. It saw an issue on sanitary structure 933. So there's a hydraulic blockage. There's an uphill flow condition. The upstream structure 932 right here has an outlet elevation of 836.03 feeding into 933. However, 933 lists the inlet at 833.59 and the outlet at 834.49. The outlet is 0.9 feet higher than the inlet, which doesn't make sense. The liquid would need to rise a foot to exit. Obviously, that doesn't work for a sewer system because it's against gravity, correct? So it's these little details that AI is able to catch and bring to your attention so that you caught it and you fixed it, not the plan checker, not the contractor, not the architect, and hopefully not in a claim or lawsuit later. Here's another example where there's an ADA compliance issue. So AI went through this table here of the ramp spot elevations for the ADA ramp, and it found one part of the ramp where your slope, there's just one part of the ramp, one little part where the slope is 2.2%. However, it needs to be capped at 2% by ADA standards. So ADA standards require that turning space slopes are limited to 2% for maneuverability. And so there's just one little part of this ramp that's a little bit over 2%, and it caught that. It can catch kind of conflicts and clashes as well. There's a utility conflict here where the water main clashes with 12-inch RCP. So you have a direct physical conflict between the water main and a 12-inch RCP storm sewer. Based on the elevations, it directly overlaps with the vertical zone occupied by the RCP. And it also violates one of the notes in the drawing, which mandates an 18-inch vertical separation. So literally, in this case, it literally cannot be built because the pipes literally intersect. Now, one of the questions I often get when I show this is about BIM. We are not a replacement to BIM. We're not trying to be a replacement to Revit or Navisworks or 3D clash detection. That's good at what it does, but they don't do these 100 other things that we're looking at, right? So this is more of something that's complementary or supplementary to BIM clash detection. We do catch clashes like this example, but our main thing is not clash detection. Our main thing is we're QAing the PDF drawings and trying to catch as many issues. Most of these issues are not caught by BIM. So it's a great complement. It's a great supplement to your BIM model. It is not a replacement, and we're not trying to be a replacement to BIM. So just want to clarify that. And I could show you thousands of issues, but I'm just going to show the last one here. And the reason I want to show this is I know in the poll, many of you said you have your internal QA guidelines and checklists. So this particular project, they had a civil design guidelines that they need every project to follow. And so on sheet 23, their guidelines specifically say that stationing for storm sewer lines must be unique and cannot restart at 0 + 0 0 for each segment. But when you look at the drawings, they do exactly that. So it's directly contradicting your stationing requirements per the civil design guidelines that this particular project had uploaded. So since I think 30 to 40% of the the people who participated in that poll have internal guidelines and QA checklists and standards. This is an example of the AI comparing your drawing to your own standards and guidelines and showing you issues there. So that wraps up the demo itself. What I want to do now is I'm just going to have our website open. This is the website www.inspectmind.ai, or you can just Google InspectMind AI. You can go to the website, upload a project, and try it out. Remember the ASCE 15 discount code. And what I'm going to do now is the last 25 minutes of the webinar here, we're going to open it up two questions. So my co-founder and CTO Shang Ling is right here. We're actually in the same room here. And so let's just open it up for any questions that the audience may have.
Gosh, you have several questions, many, many questions in the Q&A. If you want to take a look at the Q&A, or do you want me to read the questions to you?
I think if you can read them, that would be great.
Okay. How does the AI learn? How does it adjust for local jurisdictions' adopted code?
Yeah, so one of the cool things here is we know how important data privacy and security is within the construction industry. Some of your projects may be government projects, sensitive projects, data centers, things like that. And so one of the things that we do is we do not train any large language models on your projects. A lot of firms have a concern with using free tools like ChatGPT where maybe you upload your drawings, but then the problem is that your drawings are now going and training ChatGPT as an example, or other free AI tools like that. In our case, we actually do not train any large language models on your data. So the way that we keep improving the AI is not by training it on your project files, but rather we're always listening to our customers of what is it doing well? What is it not doing well? What are more types of checks that we can add? What are improvements we can make to the algorithm, to the agent, to the AI itself, kind of at a higher level. So we really take your data privacy and security seriously, and we don't train large language models. So that's why it's safe to use this. Even if your company has a policy like, hey, you can't use ChatGPT because you don't want to train ChatGPT with your drawings and details, we don't have that issue. Now, your second question about the local codes. So what we have is you can actually upload your local codes. If you can go and if you've paid for those PDFs, let's say you're doing a project in Palo Alto, California, and you have the Palo Alto local code for that project that applies. You can actually upload that into along with your drawings and specifications and project documents, and the AI will actually check against those codes as well. This was really cool. If you go back to remember that civil engineering example I showed you? This was actually for one of the largest home builders in the country, probably a name, I can't say the name, but probably a name everybody on this call knows. And in their case, they actually, when they're doing like a big development of 500 houses, they actually have a deal with the city or county, right? They have terms that they've negotiated with the city or county. So there's kind of a project specific code, local code that applies to that development. And they were able to upload that code into our tool and then have it check against that local code for that specific project. So you can upload your codes and the AI will check against your codes as well.
And Akash, just extending on that about the privacy, I have several questions, so many questions in here about, projects and plans being proprietary and, how protected is what they upload in the system.
I want to quickly pull up a page here. If you can still see my screen share. So on our website, if you go to resources, there's a page called the Trust Center. And this has our privacy policy in terms of service in detail. And also, here's a big picture overview. This is what most AEC firms in our experience, these 5 things are what most firms care about. And we've gone through the security process at multi-billion dollar companies that you've all heard of. So this has been vetted by IT and security teams at, $60 billion public companies, for example. But here's the five most important things, and then you can go to this web page yourself and read the terms and details. So the first is the data, the server that we use, it's Amazon Web Services. This is one of the leading cloud service providers. It's used in healthcare, insurance, government, et cetera. It's as secure as it gets. Server side is encryption and data transmission. So it's a very safe place to store your data. And then second is your data stays yours. So we don't train large language models or AI models like ChatGPT or Gemini or Anthropic with your project drawings. And each project is isolated, so there's no data sharing between customers. Data segregation, so there's no data crossover between customers. Your data is just used to run your plan check. And then this one's really cool. We can do data deletion on request. So let's say you uploaded a job, the AI ran, here's 500 issues. You can download that as a spreadsheet. You can export that. And then you could just email us, hey, I'm done with this project. Can you wipe the server clean of any data files, et cetera, about this project? We're happy to do that. And we're also happy to set up automatic deletion. So if you wanted a policy, your firm wanted, hey, after every check, I want all my files deleted after 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever you want to configure, we can do that. So sometimes, there's sensitive projects, government, healthcare, et cetera. So we take this very seriously. We'll wipe the server entirely clean of anything to do with your project. And finally, only authorized users have access to your project, meaning you've run the AI, it came back with here's these 500 issues. You get the dashboard that I showed you. There's actually a share button, and just like if you've ever used a product like Google Docs, you can just type in the email address and share it. So you have the ability to share it with your coworkers, with your consultants. You could share it with the architect, contractor, drafters, whoever you want to share it with. So only those users that you give access to would be able to see your project files and results. I mean the issues identified. Yeah, there's some more specific information here. For example, the specific Amazon server data center that the data resides in is based in Northern California. I know sometimes, firms may have requirements on certain infrastructure or location, and we are able to accommodate those requests. So if there's any concern or any special requirements that your company needs us to meet, start with this page, go through it, and feel free to just let us know. You can book a call with us or you can email us if you have any special requests, and we're happy to review those and accommodate as appropriate.
Okay, we have some questions about the different examples you showed and the percentage. Do you typically see changes due to the AI report? Example, the Florida example showed 40%. What is typically what you see?
Okay, that's a great question. So what we see is that basically in terms of, if AI finds 100 issues, about 70 to 80 of them would be accurate. So our goal is to try to surface as many issues as possible. Our belief is that the cost of missing an issue is way higher than the cost of, hey, the AI flagged something and it wasn't accurate and maybe you looked it over for 30 seconds, right? We'd rather, err on the side of surfacing the issue and hopefully avoiding a risk or liability later, as opposed to, hey, we certainly flagged an issue and maybe it wasn't entirely accurate. And that accuracy is constantly improving. We are trying to get that to from 70, 80% to 80, 90%. That's something we're actively working on. In the Florida example that I shared that there were 250 issues flagged and the firm fixed 100 of them. Now, that doesn't mean only 100 were accurate. That just means 100 is what they fixed, because there might be some issues that are accurate, but it's common sense, right? The engineer may not deem it worthwhile to go and fix that issue because it's kind of self-explanatory, or it was just something that they didn't feel it was important to fix, even though technically it was accurate, right? And so let's take that Florida example at 250 issues. our estimate would be about 200 of them are accurate and 100 of them is what they went and they thought it was important enough to fix. There were still 100 issues that were accurate, but they didn't think it was important enough to fix. Was anything you want to add on that?
Yeah, so on our roadmap, that's one area to improve. Basically, that's why we want to build a chatbot in our app. That way, before you review all the issues, you can like figure out what are the more important issues for you, right? Like even out of like all the accurate issues, maybe you care more about like violation with the code types of issues or like or like the dimensions issues. So that is one area where we want to make it much easier for you to like prioritize viewing the issues you care about more.
Yeah, the number one kind of request we get from customers at this point is the AI is just too good at finding a lot of issues. What do you do once you run your project and like the example I showed you, there's 961 issues. So the thing we're working on is how can we help you process and prioritize those issues faster? Because you don't want to review 961 issues. You want to focus on what are the top few dozen that are going to make the biggest liability impact, cost impact, schedule impact, permitting impact, and kind of focus on those. So we already have a priority view that I showed you. It was a prioritized list, but that chatbot's going to help you go even deeper and prioritize even better. Not having to read 961 issues, but just ask the chatbot, hey, show me the 10 issues that have the biggest schedule risk for the project, and then prioritize those, for example, if that's what you cared about.
Yeah. And also from the Q&A, I saw one question asking about API. That is on our roadmap. We plan to have the API ready in 2 to 3 months. It is like a very common request from bigger customers. And we might even like explore beyond that. Like, we use agents these days. Potentially in the future, we might even have the MCP for InspectMind, so you can like talk to InspectMind through your AI agents. But we will make the API available first.
I wanted to touch on, you mentioned about codes, finding codes. We have a question. Can we create our own list of checks for non-standard projects that use DoD codes?
Yes, and the way that you do that is when you upload the drawings, there's also the ability, there's a text box where you can add a custom prompt. And so you're able to add custom instructions of, pay extra attention to XYZ, or don't include, these kinds of issues, or do include these kinds of issues. You could upload your custom codes, your custom checklist, your custom requirements. The only requirement is that they're PDFs, not Word or Excel or CAD or Revit, just they're PDFs. You could put in your custom codes and checklists and requirements, and you could also put in custom instruction. Just like if you've ever used an AI tool, you have the ability to put in a prompt. It's a similar idea. You can put in your prompt. Of a prompt might be, hey, I just want to focus on these kinds of code issues, like, or don't worry about coordination issues, or just focus on my QA checklist and nothing else, right? And so you could put those custom instructions and upload custom PDFs. No issues there.
We have some questions about the reports that come out afterwards. Let's see. Couple questions are about can it be exported to CSV? What types, what other formats can it be exported into? And also, there's a question about exporting to CSV for Autodesk Construction Cloud. Is that currently available or planned for the future?
Do you want to answer that?
You can talk.
Okay, sure. Yeah, there already is a one-click spreadsheet export. It downloads, it gives you an Excel file of all the issues, and so you get here's the issue, here's the drawing page, the sheet number, the detailed number, the explanation, etc. So it just exports what you see in the dashboard into a spreadsheet, and you can actually upload that spreadsheet into Autodesk and import the issues. So what we actually did was we designed that spreadsheet in the right format that is needed, where you can upload that into Autodesk and import the issues if you want to kind of import all the 500 issues into Autodesk and task manage it there. So that capability already exists. It's a one-click export button on the top right of the results dashboard.
Okay, and what about is your program equally strong across many disciplines, geotechnical, coastal, and more?
It works across all disciplines. But if I look at projects where we check the whole permit set, I mean, we find hundreds of issues per disciplines, architectural, civil, structural, MEP, uh, everything. So there's nothing that makes me say that, it is exceptionally stronger or weaker at a particular discipline. It works for both vertical construction. It also works for horizontal, like infrastructure, land development. People have used this for bridges, for roads, highways, land developments, all kinds of things. So horizontal and vertical construction and across all disciplines.
Yeah, I will also just add that there are like maybe more specialized work we can do. For example, for like structural engineering drawings, we uh, we you can already upload your calculations today, but there's more work we can do to make the calculations check better. Same for like MEP, for example, your drawings might have like very complicated graphs of the ducts. Like I think for there's more work we can do, but I would say like in general, it works for all disciplines.
All disciplines, all types of construction. We've seen everything from houses to data centers and hospitals and universities, corporate tech campuses and multifamily, all of the above. People have used this worldwide. I know this is the American Society of Civil Engineers, so I showed American projects examples, but this has actually been used worldwide in different countries, different codes, different languages. People have uploaded Spanish language plans and gotten hundreds of issues on Spanish plans in South America with Peruvian codes as an example, and found it to be very useful. So it's very scalable across geographies and languages. If you're a firm that does international projects, not just American projects, this can be helpful to QA your international work as well.
And we have many, many members all across the world. So many international members. So they will find that very exciting. Here's a good question. What are the differences between InspectMind AI and just Chat GPT, Claude, those sorts of AIs?
The big thing is this is built for this use case. ChatGPT is great for writing emails and letters and brainstorming and things like that. I mean, I love ChatGPT. I personally use it every single day. So nothing against ChatGPT, but it's not built for drawings. It's not built for understanding drawings and diagrams and structural details and floor plans and elevations and more of the visual part, right? Because I'd say, to be able to check a project like this, I mean, you saw that example with the floor plan and the elevation not lining up, and then all these different kinds of things you have to check. It's really this is purpose built for this use case. That this is our entire engineering team, we're focused on solving the plan check problem, right? And ChatGPT is kind of a general tool. You can use it to write emails, you can use it to write a poem, you can use it to brainstorm ideas or come up with creative ideas, or look stuff up, and it's great for that. But it's kind of a general one size fits all tool, whereas we're going really, really deep into checking architectural and engineering drawings. So it's really the specialization that allows us to, do a significantly, I'd say 100 times better job than just uploading your drawings in, ChatGPT or Claude.
Yeah, I would say we all know like how complex the drawings are, right? You could have like 20 details on one single drawing. And ChatGPT, if you just send the whole full set to ChatGPT, it's not gonna work very well. We've done lots of work in terms of like really understanding all the drawings. And I would say another thing is security and privacy, right? Like we really make sure that your data is only accessed by yourself. Um, it's not being used for the large foundation model training, and yeah, it's built specifically for AEC.
Yeah, just if you can compare, you can run your project through InspectMind, you can run it through ChatGPT or Claude. You're going to find 10 to 100x more issues in accuracy on InspectMind than ChatGPT or Claude, and your project files, your drawings, calc specs will be more safe on InspectMind versus a general tool where it's kind of training a large language model.
We have several questions about, how, I guess to put it briefly, about all the data that was used to train your AI product. Where did that all come from? What is your gold standard of, checking and making sure that it stays accurate and up to date?
So what we leverage is we use a combination of models that we trained ourselves. There are models that we made an investment and we trained ourselves in terms of computer vision and kind of teaching the AI to understand and process and digest drawings. And in addition, we leverage the major foundation models on the market, but we leverage them in a way where your data is protected. So, so the foundation models that we leverage are, for example, Google develops foundation models. They have invested billions of dollars on developing models that are trained on the entire internet that Google has access to, right? So that's kind of how we leverage those models to perform this task and this plan check, combined with our own models that we trained. I would say that what's kind of counterintuitive is the way the AI works is it's less of us giving every instruction to the AI of this means that and that means, it's not exactly like that. It's more like you could think of it as the AI is kind of reasoning through these different drawings and specs and text and images and trying to catch issues. So there's some of that as well. It's not us having pre-programmed that, this means this thing or here's one rule to follow. So it's really leveraging models that are built by companies like Google that are, already trained on the entire internet, combined with our own computer vision models. And that's how we perform this plan check task. And we orchestrate all of it together in a way that it is purpose-built for this use case and it protects your data privacy and security.
Okay, thank you for that. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to mention we have over 150 questions in the Q&A, so we may have to send these to you afterwards so you can reach back out to folks. I did want to ask this one question. Can you set a tolerance on a coordination of issues like, let's see, set a difference tolerance per element? Sometimes a few inches doesn't matter, other times it does. Does that?
Yeah. Yeah, you can specify those requests. When you upload the files, we have like a text input box for you to add those. So you can just specify there. So basically what we would do is after our AI find all the issues, it will go through your notes again and filter out the ones that don't meet your standard.
And oh, you know what? Here's one other question. We saw the examples and everything. Some people are asking about if they are creating a manual. How many other maybe non-traditional ways do you see that this could be used?
As I understand that question, if you have your manual for your firm, like a QA manual or engineering manual for your engineers to follow, you could upload those, and the AI will be able to check against those as well. And actually, the civil example that I showed you, if you remember, it actually found a contradiction between I think it was their civil design guidelines, page 23. That's an example of a custom manual, and it'll catch issues where maybe something in your drawing doesn't meet something in your manual. So that's a great way to kind of customize this to your firm in a way without having to do any extra work. You're simply uploading your guidelines, your manual, your standards,
Right.
and then the AI is automatically going to check against that.
Yeah, and we also have a library feature, meaning if you, let's say in your firm, you have the same manual across all the projects, you upload that once, and then you don't have to re-upload those again for your future projects.
All right. Thank you both so very much. It looks like we're coming up at the end of the hour. So again, there are so many questions in the Q&A still coming in, and I will make sure to give this report to you so you can reach back out to folks. And also, I just wanted to say, give a very sincere thanks to Akash Prasad for your time and your expertise and doing that really good demonstration of InspectMind AI. Finally, I would like to extend a special thank you to our new sponsor, InspectMind AI, for making today's session possible. Their support is vital to the success of our sponsored webinar program. It allows us to provide high quality complimentary e-learning to both our current and future ASCE members. And thank you all for joining us today. We hope everybody stays safe and stays well. Goodbye, everyone.
You.
Thank
Thank you.
you.